What's going on, everybody? Rob here to do a contest for the Rock Scouts 250 sub contest. I don't know if I had a title or not because I didn't look before I started this video. So that's what we're going with for now. Congrats on the 250. I know you'll have many more. I know I said this before. Scott's one of my favorite channels. He's pretty much the same musical taste as I do. Everything from AOR to thrash, you know, a little bit of death here and there. So we're very similar in taste and, you know, and what we look for. And it always seems like he finds stuff that I need to fill some of my stuff and vice versa. So it's kind of funny in a way. But anyway, he asked, I think it was 5 or 6 questions. Let's see, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. So 5 questions. The first question is your favorite year and why for metal or hard rock, whatever you're into, for music. I'm going to go with 1984. I was 14 years old, and music was hair metal and thrash. All of it was hitting. That was a sweet spot, you know. That's when all of it was hitting hard. Bands had either a second or a third album coming out, some a first. So everything was pretty much good there, and a lot of my favorite bands are from that era. And a lot of my favorite albums, my top 20 albums, a lot of them come from that year. So especially the big one for me, which if you guys know me by now, my favorite band is Dokken, and my favorite album by Dokken is still Tooth and Nail. That came out in 1984. I'm not going to show all this stuff because it's just a pain in the ass to pull albums for this right now, and it really didn't say we need to pull them. So this doesn't count, just for support anyway. A lot of the albums that came out that year are Dio's Last in Line, Metallica Ride the Lightning, Wasp's debut, Judas Priest Defender of the Faith, Fate's Warning, Night of the Brocken came out then. Who else? Malmsteen's debut. What else we got here? Whitesnake Slide It In, which is still my favorite Whitesnake album. Sabotage, the second album. Dungeons came out. TNT's Night of the New Thunder was a great album. What else? Rat Out of the Cellar, my favorite Rat album. So there's just so many. For me, that's my sweet spot year. And it was also when I was, you know, old enough to start going to the concerts for the under 21 and shit like that. So I was having a field day when it came to music. Music's always been a huge part of who I am in my life. So there's that question. That should be good enough, right? Next is the All-Star. Name your All-Star band. I guess mine's pretty easy. I'm going to add 2 vocalists since I love female vocalists as well. So I'll have 2 vocalists in my band. Obviously Don Dokken would be my vocalist. There's so many vocalists I could add, but since we're forced to pick one, I'm going with that. As for female vocalists, it's Sharon Denadel from Within Temptation, which have a new album coming out soon. So there's my 2 vocalists. As for my guitarist, I went with 2, like most good metal bands have 2. Although, yeah, I guess Stevie Ray Vaughan did have 2 in a way. But my 2 favorite guitarists are Yngwie Malmsteen and Stevie Ray Vaughan. Those would be my 2 guitarists. My favorite bassist is Billy Sheehan. Just a phenomenal bass player. I don't think people think of him enough when they think of a great bass player, in my opinion. Drummers are really tough because it's so hit and miss for me. You know, I'm a Motley Crue fan. I'm not a huge Motley Crue fan, but I think, and I don't like Tommy Lee as a person, but the man's a great drummer. Lars Ulrich, the same thing. I don't like the dude, but in his heyday, man, he was a killer drummer. Carmen Appice, and so many damn bands that, you know, now I'm going to draw a blank because I'm trying to think about it. Anyway, he's been in a shit ton of bands. King Cobra, I mean, he's been in a shit ton of bands, different styles, from the 60s even to this day, they put out an album last year or this year, I can't remember, with his brother called Apathy. It was a really, really good album. So I guess I think if I had to be forced to pick at the moment right now for a drummer, I'm going to go with Tommy Lee right now. That switches so much for me. But I do like Tommy Lee's drumming. He's very versatile. He does a lot of stuff more than Motley Crue. So we'll go with Tommy Lee for now. That's such a hard question because that one always changes for me. What was the other question? Favorite movie soundtrack? My favorite movie soundtrack, it's so easy because it's such a killer soundtrack, and that is the Shocker soundtrack, the horror movie of The Shocker. It's got Dangerous Toys in there, or one of their best songs, period, called Demon Bell. And I always get that confused because I always think that's on Tales from the Crypt, Demon Night. Demon Bell, Megadeth, No More Mr. Nice Guy covers on there. Bonfire's Sword in the Stone. Soraya's Timeless Love. A kick-ass song by Voodoo X called The Awakening. That's with Gene, I always get his name, Bellevue, whatever the fuck his name is, from Crown of Thorns. What else is on there? I'm going to look at my list here. I think that's the main thing. And there was also a band on there called Dudes of Wrath. And they're basically comprised of different people from different bands. They did 3 or 4 songs on there, I can't remember at this point. But basically it was comprised of Paul Stanley from Kiss, Vivian Campbell, Desmond Child, singer-songwriter, Rudy Zarzo, I'm trying to do this without looking. Who were the other guys? Tommy Lee was also in there. Tommy Lee and Paul Stanley, they wrote the songs on there but under pen names, so that's why people don't generally know that's who it was. But that would be my soundtrack. I love that soundtrack. Demon Knight's a good soundtrack too, but for some reason that's the one that always sticks with me. When I first heard that question, that's what I have. I do not have it on vinyl, or I would actually show that one. I need to get that on vinyl. I'm not a big soundtrack fan purchase-wise either. So that's that question. Next is favorite collaboration. I'm going to take this as between anything, band, singers, whatever. The first thing that popped into my head when I thought of this, and it's because I was listening to the CD actually, and that's a band called Delain. It's like a symphonic metal band, but they do a track called No Compromise, No Compliance, and it has Sharon Denadel from Within Temptation on it, and it's one of the best songs on the album. I don't think I can probably show you that, but the keyboardist for this started this band is from Within Temptation to begin with, so it's kind of a no-brainer. I figured she would be on their debut. So this would be it's called No Compliance. I'll try to add a link in the signature below, in my description below. I haven't said that in a while. For the song as well, if you like that kind of music. I do. Let's see. And the last question is your favorite live, I don't know if it was a song or a show or what, but I went with my favorite thing I saw live and the favorite thing I see live on YouTube. I mean, my favorite live moment that always sticks with me, both times I've seen it, and that's Queensryche's, oh my God, Sweet Mary. Parallel Moore's vocals in that are so freaking haunting, and I'll try to remember to put the link in the signature below. There's one that I seen that was even better than I seen the two times live. That's just so haunting. So that song is the best song, and I'll throw another one out there live. Is the Judas Priest live album? You know, the gold cover one with the fingers in the air and the hands in the air. Out in the Cold on that is so fucking good. It gives me chills when it starts and he hits those high notes. So yeah, I'll go with those two as my favorite live moments on an album. Queensryche in person. So that would be my pick for that question. And that's going to be my entry into the contest for Scott. Just trying to get these done. You know, you guys support me all the time. I want to do the same back. Even if I fuck up the stuff and it doesn't count, that's fine too. Anyway, Scott, congrats. I know you're going to do many, many, many more for many, many, many years. So thanks for subbing me as well. We've been pretty much started together, and it's been fun getting to know you. It's been fun getting a lot of the guys, but we all have our favorites, and you're one of mine, and I'm not afraid to admit that. So we'll all catch up real soon. No, we won't, because this is not an update. This is a contest. I'll talk to y'all later, and I'm going to work on my next one. Have a good one, guys.